Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look and see some of the aspects of setting up our development environment. Let's go ahead and get started. So Liferay itself is tool agnostic. What that means is for the most part, you can kind of pick whatever tools you want within a certain restriction. Let's talk about some of those restrictions. The first one is going to be you need a JDK. Liferay is Java based. So you're going to need a JDK based off of what we have in our support matrix. So you're either going to be running JDK 11 or JDK 8. Now at the filming of this video, our IDE runs on JDK 8. That's what I'm going to be using throughout the video. So maybe by the time you see this, JDK 11 will be supported within the IDE. So all depends on the support matrix. Liferay does provide a couple of different IDE options. We'll talk about that pretty soon. Along with that, we're going to need a servlet container and some sort of database. Again, which one is it's pretty much up to you. Just depends on your preferences. Let's talk about the IDE. So Liferay has an IDE that it builds in-house called Liferay Developer Studio. The commercial or the enterprise edition is DXP. Right? It's going to have all the tools that you need to develop for Liferay, and it also comes or allows you to get a Liferay DXP bundle alongside of that. It'll install it automatically and get it all set up for you. Right? If you're working off of the community edition or the open source edition, there's an IDE for that as well. It's the community edition. Again, it's going to have the majority of what you need to develop for Liferay, but it's going to be for the community edition. If you're already running Eclipse, you can download all of the plugins that are needed to run Liferay Developer Studio. So both of them built on top of Eclipse. It's just a matter of what we're going to be developing for, either the commercial or the open source. Now, if you come from previous versions of Liferay like 6.2 or 6x, you're going to be familiar with the plugins SDK. As of Liferay 7.0 or Liferay DXP, the plugins SDK is no longer supported. It's been deprecated. So there's going to be some stuff you need to do in order to get that upgraded. But for the most part, that's no longer a thing. You might be familiar with EXT plugins and some other plugins that were used to modify Liferay, like hooks. Those are no longer supported as well, with some exceptions here and there. But again, for the most part, these things from the 6x world are deprecated. Now, if you don't like Eclipse, we do have a plugin for IntelliJ. There's a link here that allows you to download that plugin, gives you everything you need to develop for the Liferay world in IntelliJ. That's a different story. We know which IDE is going to be better at the end of the day, so go ahead and use that one. Now, in the support matrix, when we're talking about Java JDK 8, there's a number of different Java vendors out there. Here on this screen, it shows you which JDKs are supported. If you have a choice and if you have the ability to do so, go ahead and grab that Oracle JDK 11. But if you want to use one of the other ones here on the screen, you can do so. When we're talking about servlet containers, again, whichever servlet container or Java EE server you want to use, you can use. Now, as a heads up, we at Liferay are pretty opinionated on what we prefer, but at the end of the day, it is what you prefer. So you can use Tomcat, you can use Wildfly, you can use JBoss. It's completely up to you. We here at Liferay and in the examples, we're going to be using Tomcat. So with our database, our Liferay bundles come configured to use Hypersonic. That's just for testing, just for development. Ideally, in the production world, you're going to be using something like MySQL or SQL Server. Up to you as to which one you want to use. Whichever one you do decide to use, just make sure you grab the JDBC driver to give Liferay the ability to connect to your database. Now, we talked a little bit about that compatibility matrix. Here's the link right here. So if you do have any doubts on which version to use or what can you use, this compatibility matrix is going to be the document that you're going to want to refer to. So take a look at that first before you start setting up your own production environment. Let's talk about our different development environments and some of the different ways and configurations that we can use to get that up and running. Here on this diagram, it's pretty simple. You're going to have Liferay Developer Studio, right? We're going to, of course, need Java JDK. To run all of this, it's going to connect to a Liferay bundle. It's going to be Tomcat. Connect us to our database using the JDBC connector. Pretty typical setup here. So let's talk about some of our tooling situations or tooling scenarios. We can start off here with the minimal, right? You just need a JDK. You can use your favorite text editor and then a build tool like Ant or Maven. Right? Pretty simple. That's pretty much all you need. Let's go a little bit more typical here. You still have your JDK. You'll use an IDE like Developer Studio or IntelliJ with the plugins. Get that integrated with Git or some sort of version control with your Tomcat bundle with your database. This is typical of what most developers are going to be having, at least as the bare minimums. So the typical is more along the lines of the minimum or what you're going to see in the everyday. If you want to go advanced, you can have a couple of tools outside of what we saw in the typical. You can have continuous integration going on. You can have some monitoring tools, taking a look and seeing what's happening within our Liferay bundle. You can have an SQL client to better take a look at the database, right? And of course, you still have some sort of version control here. So again, this is on the more advanced, right? But again, any one of these three situations will work. Let's take a look here at a summary, right? So Liferay is tool agnostic, right? You are free to choose what you want. We at Liferay do have some that we prefer, but again, it is up to you as to what you would like to use. We do have a full Eclipse-based IDE that is provided for us under the name Liferay Developer Studio or Liferay Dev Studio. Gives you all the tools that you need to develop for the backend. So the Tomcat server bundle is seamlessly integrated into the Liferay workspace environment, but can also be downloaded separately. And finally, any servlet container or Java EE server can be used for running the platform. Now, we're going to be taking a look at an exercise. We're just going to keep it simple. We're going to install Java JDK and then install Liferay Developer Studio DXP. So with all of that, this wraps it up for this video. We'll take care of all of those next steps in the next video.